Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Alan Obregon and that famous smile of his. Always lifted my spirits as I walked into the classroom. Alan's a 2016 graduate of the Crawford High School Academy of Law. And let's talk about the Academy of Law.
Yeah, what isn't there to say?
That's what I'm asking you. When you think about the Academy of Law, you're now what, 4 or 5 years removed?
Almost 6, yeah.
Yeah, boy, time does fly, doesn't it?
When you're having fun, sure does.
So, in your mind, as you recollect, what would you say were the strengths of the Academy?
Strengths of the Academy, definitely that style of having the students together for that long period of time. It allowed the students to really develop relationships where there wouldn't have been before. I remember my first year in the Law Academy, we were all the students there had their own cliques within their cliques, and it was very separated. Some people felt alienated at some points, but as we started to open up, as we went year after year with each other, we opened up. And not to leave out restorative practices, that helped tremendously. I mean, just being able to see these people every day for so long, and having them to be essentially a part of your life for throughout our whole high school careers, we developed friendships, relationships that helped us get through high school. So definitely that was one of my favorite aspects of Law Academy, which was being able to see those same people and develop those friendships, and not having to constantly make new friends or see new people every year, and just being a lot of consistency, I would say.
Okay, and that's you mentioned restorative justice, and do you think that contributed to the kinds of feelings you're describing?
Yeah, no, tremendously. I remember it was a little shaky at first. That's what I think honestly helped speed up the process of our building of trust and a relationship with everyone in the class. Because up until, let's see, we started in sophomore year, the whole Academy of Law, and then into junior years where we kind of really dug into restorative practices, whether it was through peer mediation or teen court, and then being introduced to the restorative or the community building circles. That just blew us out of the water. It was a little hard to get into it at first, but if you recall, Michelle Beck, we had some wonderful moments in those circles. Whether it was crying or smiling, every moment was special in those circles, and I honestly attribute a lot of our building of relationships to the circles.
Yeah, I would agree. There were some very, very poignant times. Some of the kids in the class really went through some stuff.
I mean, we all did. And to have companions there for you, to be able to share it with you, and not just have it stuck inside of your head and thinking about it while you go through math and all these other classes, and being able to share that with someone, it really helps. So we all went through it, and we helped each other.
Do you use any of what you learned? Have you since graduation? In terms of restorative justice.
Not directly, but in an off sense where I'm using the methods. I'm not calling it like peer mediation, but I'm using the same methods that I would have for a peer mediation. What's it called? Between two people. And for example, I have my resume here pulled up just so I can remember some things. But my job at Amazon, a big portion of it, when I worked at Amazon, I was a learning ambassador, and what learning ambassadors have to do is be able to facilitate communication between the managers and the associates, and they're kind of the middleman to try to keep things, keep all the boxes flowing and get the packages delivered. And a big part of that is dealing with people who get worked out, who get tired, who are at Amazon just walking 12, 15 miles per night, and they get frustrated. So I remember some people were frustrated frustrated with me, and I began to use the methods of peer mediation, which is active listening, being able to concretely relate our problems to one another, and being understanding to the person that's having a problem with me or just a problem in general, and being there for them and hearing them out. And I distinctly remember when there was an associate who was fed up with how he perceived to be treated. And I let him vent to me, essentially. I heard him out, and I told him, a lot of people go through that. I was there for him to comprehend his issues, and he calmed down. He was throwing boxes, he was doing a lot of stuff, but after being able to not sit down because they don't let us sit down, but after talking it out, and being there for him, and being able to provide an ear, a shoulder to that person because of what I learned through peer mediation, and just being able to apply those restorative practices to this other person. At least it helped them for that night. And I did that throughout my Amazon career. And I've been trying to use different methods when I talk to people who are, angry. It's not just someone you have a problem with. It's a different way to communicate as well. And it applies to everything. So definitely.
That's just great. Now, you had a very successful career at the Academy. And before we go on from the Academy, we talked about some of the high points. Where do you think we might have been a little weak or left something to be desired?
In that sense, I remember we would want, or what would I say? Honestly, not much. That's why it's a little difficult for me to say anything. I enjoyed my whole experience altogether. Where it was lacking a bit, I might say funds, just because we would need more. There's other, like Avid, they would be out doing all sorts of stuff because they have a lot of money and whatever. But besides that, honestly, maybe some more. I remember sometimes teachers were there, or maybe some more teacher support, I would say, because we developed amazing relationships with teachers such as yourself, Miss Adler, Miss Davenport. Sorry, I'm blanking on more names, but having more teachers like that are part of the Academy.
I'm sure you'd include Mr. Beatty in that.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. How did I forget? Sorry, Ray. But I loved all those teachers, and it always seemed like other teachers would want to join in. I remember when we got was it the chemistry teacher who came to help us at one point? That was awesome. It was amazing to see teachers from different subjects kind of branch into the Law Academy, and just being able to show that Law or Academy of Law isn't just law. Law applies to everything, and everything applies to the law. So being able to see that it can be so diverse, that the law can be so diverse, or that the academy can be so diverse, and including this teacher from chemistry and this teacher from history and this teacher from economics, that would have been awesome. And also AP classes.
AP classes, yeah. There's scheduling issues.
Right. Yeah. No, that was
okay. Fair enough. And so again, you were successful in your academy experience, and you were admitted to one of the finest schools in the land, the University of California at San Diego.
Yeah.
And let's start talking about your journey post-graduation.
Yeah.
So we started at UCSD, and what was that like?
That was difficult. I didn't know if I should include this part in your previous question, which is in the sense of being aware of what college really was, because when I went there, it was more on myself too. I had no idea it was a quarter system, and that threw me off completely. Where I had to finish 4 classes within 10 weeks, and in the next 3 weeks there's going to be a midterm. That threw me off 100%. But I did feel I felt a little isolated, because they put me with a lot of students from like Gompers, And like a lot of Gompers, like a lot of the students from Gompers got into UCSD, and I thought, and they were all placed in the same dorm, and I was just the only like student from Crawford there that didn't know anyone else, and that was a little intimidating. But pushing through that, I ventured into UCSD. It's a huge campus. I I couldn't. I don't think I ever walked from one side to the other, like just because it was just, it's huge. I had no idea. But then another part to include was or in my UCSD journey was I guess the cost of it all. I wasn't too 100% on it. Like that's what, like I had to take out what's it called, a small loan, and I didn't even know what's it called that I had taken out a loan. I thought it was just financial aid, and I clicked on it. So that's one thing I would have appreciated a little more if I had more information about the finances that really go into to paying for tuition into college and stuff like that. I'm not saying that it wasn't there. I know I could have looked into it a little more, but having that resource to to know what you're getting yourself into, that would have been awesome. Um, uh, yeah, just something like that. I'm sorry, I digress from UCSD because there's a lot of stuff happened within that year, within that first year of UCSD. Yeah, it was eye-opening. I worked at Whole Foods. I had to work at the same time. So, and I had to walk 3 miles there and back to my job every 4 days throughout the week. So I basically stacked my plate full, and it was a little hard to get through it all.
So you were working 4 days a week?
Yeah, actually more sometimes, because it was really weird at my job. People came and went, and so as the people left, I would get more hours, but as they came, I would get less hours, and I would get close to working almost full time when that's not what I wanted to do. But if I didn't work the job, then I would have gotten fired. And so I think it was very difficult, to say the least, and I probably could have gotten a better job that would have helped, that would have worked with me with my schooling and my schedule. But no, yeah, it was pretty difficult.
I guess. So how long were you at UCSD?
I was just there for that first year. Just 3
so
quarters.
And you worked at Whole Foods that whole year?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's what, 12 classes plus almost full-time work. Like they cut my hours just enough to keep me as a part-time worker, or get me classified as a part-time worker, but I was working, it felt like I was working full-time.
Did you how did you do academically?
That's where the surprise and the full plate comes into play. Like it did affect me quite a bit. I just piled my, like I keep saying, I piled my plate too high. I try to go to work. I try to study, and I try to have fun too, because there's so many things to do at UCSD. There's a Sun God Festival. There's always some festival going on on the quad or the main area. Like it was a lot to balance, and I honestly it was a lot to deal with. So I didn't do too well, to be honest.
Oh, that's certainly understandable. So
yeah.
You were there for, well, how do you think the Academy prepared you academically for the experience?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I would have just been able to focus solely on my studies, I mean, it would have, I saw myself using Miss Cander's methods of reading all the time. And Miss Cander, I was only with her for a year, but she left such an impact. I would find myself just skimming and scanning, and then finding the major words, and then actually reading through it, focusing on those major words of the sentence, and everything would make sense. I would academically, I feel like I did really well, or I could have done really well if I wouldn't have stacked my plate so high, and been able to focus a little more on my studies. But
and why did you stack your plate so high? Was it a matter of economic necessity?
yes, honestly, I got lucky that I was able to find the Juma program through Academy of Law, and they were able to provide me with funds for my books and laptops and stuff. But that was only so much, and it was only for that year too. And it wasn't really a scholarship, so I still had to pay. I still had to pay the tuition, and that's why I had to take out a loan for it. My parents couldn't. Well, my mom. It's just my mom. She couldn't really help out with anything. My sister was still in high school, and what's it called? And she had gotten pregnant too at around that time too. So it was all coming down. And I basically, like, if I wanted to buy anything for myself that wasn't on campus, which on campus food is great for the first 3 weeks, but then it all just starts to taste the same. So if I want to do anything else outside of campus or even on campus sometimes, because you need to pay for things there, it would have to come out of my own pocket, and that's where I had to work. I could ask my mom for some money here and there, but I had to do a lot of stuff for myself, and I even had to help my mom out sometimes too, whether it be paying the internet bill, the phone bill, or even sometimes the rent. But there was a need for me to work. So I mean, unfortunately, I couldn't just study all the time.
Gotcha. So what happened after UCSD?
I was pretty let down. And that's another reason too that I stacked my plate so high. Coming into UCSD, like I honestly got to say that my head was a little big, and I thought I could do everything, and I couldn't. Reality struck me really hard, and I realized that I'm not Superman. I can't do everything. So I took a reality check after UCSD, and I went over to Grossmont, and I didn't let my academic disqualification from UCSD distraught me from my studies. So I went to Grossmont, and I kept at it there for about 2.5 years.
And how did you do academically at Grossmont?
Honestly, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just UCSD, but at Grossmont, I killed it. I did really well. I enjoyed all my classes. I did make one fatal mistake of focusing my units to get back into UCSD when I should have realized that's not the school for me. Like, I tried to go back there, but then they told me I was missing this credit and that credit. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going back there. Let me see what other options I have. And so at Grossmont, I met my favorite econ teacher. I had an amazing sociology teacher. You know me, Michelle, I love to be the odd one out. So I love to be on the counter of arguments, and I got into some not real trouble, but people looked at me funny for having different types of arguments there. And that's where I really had a lot of fun academically. Once you're really able to flourish and in what you're doing and in the studies that you like, it's amazing. It's awesome. And I had a blast there at Grossmont.
You also have a rather, I don't know what term to use, but a unique sense of humor.
Oh,
yeah. The last time we talked, you had me convinced that you had voted for Donald Trump. Not only the first time, but the second time. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, how did I fail this kid?
Whoa, I wouldn't say that's failure. Like, that's just more, you've created a more opinionated student. Yeah. But I can't vote, so you can't blame me for Trump.
No. But you really had you pulled my leg, and it was really stretched out there quite a distance.
Yeah, I saw it.
So now, did you work at Grossmont?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I worked from Whole Foods. I had to leave once the year at UCSD ended, and because I didn't have transportation to drive from City Heights all the way to the Whole Foods in La Jolla, so I had to leave that job. But then luckily my mom let me borrow her car, and I was able to find a job closer to home, and I started working at a Thai food restaurant called Rakadika. and I worked there for about a year. It was just about a year or a year and a half, and I was doing that while I was going to Grossmont too. It was a little easier just because the restaurant, it's a lot more family oriented, so I could talk to the owner about my schedule, and they'll definitely work with me, or I'll tell them I have a test coming up if they can switch my schedule, and they're not going to force me to work like almost 40 hours while I was at school. So that definitely helped out a lot too, being able to have that relationship with my manager and have them being understanding about the whole situation.
And so, but still, you're basically going to school full time and working pretty much full time.
Yeah, no, still, I mean, it wasn't easy. It was a lot. It was easier than UCSD, but it was still there. I still had to put at least 30 hours per week at work as well. Or sometimes I'd leave from work to school or from school to work. Then I'd get home and I'm just tired.
Yeah. So so after a couple of years at Grossmont, what was the game plan?
Yeah, so after Grossmont, I was looking at San Diego State just because it was nearby, and I had already gotten accepted once, so it'll happen again, hopefully. And I applied there, and I didn't get accepted. It was more like they sent my application over to CSU San Marcos because they said the econ major was full, so they didn't have any more spots for econ majors. So if I wanted to keep my major, I would have to apply to another school, and the second closest one is San Marcos. I applied to San Marcos, and now I'm on my final year here.
So you will be graduating?
Yes, next June.
Wonderful.
Coming right around.
Now, and then you continued to work.
Oh yeah, in the middle, because I only worked at Rockadica for a year. So in the middle of my time at Grossmont, which was 2.5, I switched over to working at Amazon, and it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it for the first couple of bits, but the difference this time around was that it was a graveyard shift. So the shift first started from 7 p.m. until, I don't know, it was at first from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then they kept changing it. So then it became 12 p.m. till 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. And then they switched it. They went backwards. So then we would be there from 8 to 5 a.m. And so like everything changed. I enjoyed the work because I had a lot of energy, and it's just pure labor, like on your feet. Fong and I would walk like 12, 15, 20 miles a night, just constant walking. It was, I enjoyed getting the energy out, but it was tiring. And then whenever we do get days off, we're spending most of it just sleeping, just trying to catch up with the rest that we lost. But it was a pretty decent paying job. That was around the time where Amazon raised their wages up to $15. We came in a little before that, so while we were employed there, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're raising everyone's wage to 15," and it was pretty good pay, and we didn't think the work was that bad. But then managers changed, things evolved. That's what Amazon is known for at their workplace, is just constantly changing things up. There's not really consistency there for more than like 2-3 months before they change up the whole system. So they change it up.
Through a lot of people, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm surprised we stayed there for so long. We saw so many people come and go. So with all that change, it started to get to a point where I didn't like it. We didn't like what they were doing, and we just left. But I really enjoyed my time at Amazon. It was very there was a lot of learning. I learned a lot from it. I gained a lot of experience. It helped me put myself out there, and it really brought out that part of me, from because it felt like you were a part of something bigger, and that's what Academy of Law did a lot of the times too. Like we're a unit. We're people. We're a group of people that we stick together, and we come together for this one thing, and it felt very, very connected, and that's what I liked about it. But then people leave, things change, and yeah.
But how long were you at Amazon?
let me get that correct. From November of 2018 until March of this year. So I was
March
there
of 2021.
Yes.
Wow, that's a long time.
It was like 2 years and like 5 months. That was my longest job.
Well, I think that's probably one of the longest associates at Amazon.
Well, I moved up, became a learning ambassador. It was awesome. That's another thing too. There's room to grow, and I felt like that's one thing I really like with all this all this talk about jobs. That's one thing I really felt the academy prepared me for, was getting into the workforce, as much as like from resume building to practicing just interviews. I mean, being able to put yourself out there, being able to have people hear your voice, and being active about it, being active at your job, being actively present when people are talking or when your manager's speaking. Like it benefits a lot, and I feel like a lot of that came from Academy of Law. So I mean, I can't thank you enough, Mr. Lebeck, for a lot of it. I gotta owe it a lot of where I am to you, because Academy of Law was just a completely different path than normal high school, and it really led me to what I'm doing and who I am.
Well, you were fortunate enough to have a great team. I love being part of it, but there's so much the teachers, and there's so much teachers do that the students don't see, that really is above and beyond the call. And we were lucky at the academy to have teachers who were willing to do that. Wow. So you will be graduating. Oh, all right. So you're out of work at Amazon, and what was your next job?
So from Amazon, I moved over to an assembly line, which was an even, I wouldn't say worse job, but it was a 12-hour shift job, 4 days a week. It was a lot. Like I thought I did 8 hours overnight, and I thought that wasn't too bad. So I was like, okay, 12 hours shouldn't be that bad, but it is grueling. Like we're just sitting down, but we're putting parts together and just sitting there doing the same thing over again for 12 hours. Like that's half a day just doing that. And it was okay. It paid the bills, that's for sure. That's what I needed it for. But then I couldn't do it anymore. The days I would get off, I'd be sleeping, and next thing I know, when I wake up, I already have to go to work. So yeah. I had to leave that job. And now currently I found a much better job at a construction company called Trademark Constructions, and I'm now a payroll assistant, learning to become a labor compliance auditor, and it's going to be awesome. And again, that's a lot of it due to the opportunities I gained from Academy of Law, which is the internship with National Conflict Resolution Center, the internship with Schwartz Schmerden that senior year. And I don't know if we count Ms. Wada, but Ms. Wada also got me an internship with the Employee Rights Center. And I threw those all out during my interview with Trademark Construction. And they were blown away. They're like, "You're how old and you've done this?" And I'm just like, it was there, I did it. And they were a little hesitant just because I didn't have the experience, enough experience, but they saw my demeanor, they saw what I was trying to do, or they saw that I had ambition and that I really wanted to be there. And all those opportunities that the academy provided helped tremendously. And now I'm hoping to be able to land a better job here at Trademark. And they've told me if I keep at it, it's going to look good. So I'm really excited about where I'm at and where I'm going.
Wonderful. So now, how have you been doing academically?
Oh, it's been a lot better. Yeah, definitely compared to my first year. I was caught off guard. I was trying to do it all. There's been a huge attitude change. Now I'm just taking it day by day, making sure I know what classes I'm good for, what classes I need. And I'm in terms of academics, right now I'm at a 2.5 or 2.6. Yeah, 2.6. 2.6 GPA. And I've struggled with classes, but not as much as I used to, at least at UCSD. and I've come to realize what it is to take on this college education, and the amount of sacrifices that are required to really excel academically in college.
And I mean, I know you and I know your work ethic before you even started this post law school or academy career. And I really think you probably would have killed it if you had the privilege of going to school and not having to work 4 12-hour shifts a week. Man, that is amazing. I am so impressed and so proud. It's really, I mean, boy.
I try my best.
I know you do. You always do. Now, did you, what are your plans? I know when you left, law school was on the radar.
Definitely. Yeah, it's been what, 6 years now since that conversation, and it hasn't changed much. I've just kind of been going through it. I haven't put too much thought into it just because I'm trying to figure out what to do with my upcoming degree of economics. But I've started to think more about it now that I'm in my last year of university. And with this current job as labor compliance auditor, I've been going through a lot of laws and requirements that construction sites have to meet, and just reading through it all and checking to see if the site meets those requirements. It felt, I don't know, it felt almost like a law thing, I want to say, but
it's not almost a law thing. It's a law thing. Yeah,
there you go. I mean, it's a requirement from the government for the site to be funded by either the state or the government, and they have to comply with it. And I've been dealing with a lot of that stuff recently. It's just reinvigorated my passion. I could already see myself having either a full or part-time job at Trademark while also going to, I don't know, Thomas Jefferson.
Well, okay. Well, maybe we'll take a look and see what options are available to you.
Yeah.
I know any law school would be crazy not to accept you. And we need to figure out how exactly that can be done. Now, so are you going to be taking the LSAT?
I haven't put too much into that. I'm more focused on trying to get my current major right now, finishing that up, just because I'm currently taking 5 classes, and then that's just filling up my schedule, and then but then the next semester having those 4 classes, and then my current job. I have a lot on my schedule right now, so I haven't put too much thought into that, but I've been looking into it and seeing.
It doesn't sound to me like you've been taking much off your plate. You've just been learning how to deal with what's on it.
Yeah, it's hard. You just kind of have to gauge it and see what's less and what you could put more of. Just balance it.
I understand, but law school is something you would still like to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's been my passion since middle school almost. I remember meeting my mom's immigration lawyer, and him just kind of walking us through this whole process of becoming residents, and that really, I saw that as very inspiring, that someone like that can help us out, and so I'd like to pass it on, and I still want to do it. So definitely on the radar.
That's just great. And so you and Fong are together. After all these years.
Mm-hmm. It took a while, but we've been going at it, 4 years and 200 and something days.
Now you're keeping track.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track after so long. You should know this, Michelle.
Yeah. Well, you're a couple of great kids, that's for sure. Now, when we talked, we also talked about maybe since you don't have anything to do, you offered to maybe put together a Academy of Law reunion. We started talking about some of the students in your class, and I almost fell off my chair with how many of the young ladies are now mothers.
Yeah, it's a tragedy. Well, not tragedy, but it's a different path, and it's a tough one. I don't want to say it's like it's terrible that they're parents, but it's when you're young, when you need to have a stable job, you need to have that other, to have a good family, you need two parents, and you need to both be there. You need to both be willing to do it. And I think at such a young age, it's a little too early to be really sacrificing that part of your life for something, for another person. And I don't want to seem bad or anything, but it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
My mom was also pretty young when she had me, and she struggled a lot. So I wouldn't want that for myself or anyone really. And that's just how life is. And I'd love to see them. I'd love to reconnect with everyone and
Well,
see what's going on.
I wouldn't start doing any planning. Let's
No,
think
no,
about
no,
it.
we got 4 years. I'd want to do it like at least. I'd wait another 4 till we hit that 10-year mark, or at least 15. Too early.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Well, I want to tell you also, I know you have pictures that I'm interested in acquiring for our foundation's website. Did you get a chance to look for any of those?
I could only find so many, honestly. Let me see if I could.
Well, I tell you what, we don't have to do anything now. Just forward them to me if you find them, and I'll call you if I have any questions.
Yeah, definitely.
And one last question. What could the Academy of Law have done for you after graduation that you think is practical and reasonable, that might have helped you when you were at UCSD or anywhere along the road?
Yeah, after graduation, man, I would say sometimes I do feel I would have, like at UCSD or at Grossmont, I felt a little lost. So being able to maybe have that mentorship, like I know we it was more up to us to keep in contact with that mentor, and being able to keep that bridge going between the our mentors from, was it senior year or junior year?
Junior year, yeah.
Yeah, like having someone like that, or just having someone that we could reach out to, but then also maybe something like a job training, because I mean, not, or so something to provide more options than just like college. Just because I definitely wanted to go to college. I wanted to keep studying, but there's a part of me also kind of wanted to just work and be able to make money for a good amount of time, and eventually fit college into my schedule. And that's where I think Law Academy could possibly do a little more, is just offering more options that aren't just, or that offering more options in sense that it's not just a focus on college. Like there's trade school, there's 2-year associate's degrees that you could do plenty of with and get a good amount of money. I mean, there's a lot of things out there, and this is a problem with all schools, I think, too, that there's a huge focus on universities and 4 years and just the prestige of it all. But I mean, a plumber or an electrician can make so much money. Like a trade can, just cutting metal to a certain amount of millimeters can make someone so much money. It's having, I think that's a good option to have available to people, is that it's not all about university. It's not, there's more to the service industry than just like fast food and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it sounds to me like certainly the money made a difference. Your situation now could have been, instead of getting into the best school that you could get into, going to San Diego State instead of UCSD.
I had a full ride to San Diego State, and I foolishly didn't take it because I thought higher of UCSD. I thought, to me, SDSU was like a safety school if I didn't get into something, what I perceived at the time was something better. And I was honestly foolish for thinking that way. And I could have gone full ride at SDSU, but you live and learn, right?
Well, we all live, and smart people like you learn.
Thank you.
Okay, my man, I really want to thank you for your time. It's so great catching up, and I really would hope we're not as estranged as we have been these last years. You can always give me a call, and I'll be happy to talk to you about whatever.
Yeah, honestly, I should have taken advantage of that a little more.
Well, I mean, we say it and we mean it. So I want to thank you. I'm going to check in with you and see how you're doing down the road. If I don't hear from you first.
Graduation party.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Give me the invite and I will be there.
Oh man, it's going to be crazy.
Okay. It's great talking to you. And
thanks for having me.
We will check in later. Let's see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.